All right. Welcome, everyone. So, Figma Miami. This is, I think, our third event. This will be a follow-up to a presentation that did Marcelo back in, I think it was November. So, welcome, everyone. Hola todos. In partnership with UX Fajitas, it's a meetup that actually Marcelo is part of and in charge. It's one of the biggest communities in South Florida. If you want to be part of the community as well, you can go to meetup.com/UX-fajitas. So about us, Friends of Figma Miami, we exist so we can share the best practices in user experience, product design, and coming together to help each other learn and lift everyone up. We're open to everyone interested in learning more about Figma and design, and we encourage you to have fun, be bold, and foster inclusivity. So about me, I'm the host. My name is Beto Navarro. I'm a UX, UI, and product designer, and I'm originally from Ecuador. I have been here in Miami for around 20 years now. And yeah, just a little about me. Friends of Figma, I am kind of like the spearheading about this group. But anyone is welcome to join if you want to help me out, like putting events together. Just message me, and that will be really, really cool to have another person to help me out. So if you know, Friends of Figma is a worldwide community, like an official Figma community, and there are around 88 chapters worldwide of basically each city in the world. Our page is friends.figma.com/Miami, but you can see a lot of events happening, and just check the Friends of Figma page, and there's always events happening around the globe. So let's learn something awesome today. As said before, we'll be using these three plugins that Marcelo will be really nice sharing how to use them and how to, I guess, speed up your workflow. And it's something really amazing that he has prepared. So, and then again, it's Figma Tokens, Style Guide Generator, and Themer. These are the three plugins that he will be using. So about Marcelo Paiva is a UX design manager at UKG. If you're not from Miami area or the South Florida area, he's one of South Florida most beloved and respected design leaders here. He has created a big community around design, with, of course, his meetup UX Fajitas. And he has over 15 years of building design systems, solving complex design problems, and developing thoughtful expertise to foster modern design practices in Agile environments. So having Marcelo here is always a treat for everyone. So of course, he will be spearheading the enterprise level design system architecture, part 2. And today's topic, Marcelo, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it will be a quick review of last event, like what we did together. Then importing the tokens, making style guides, creating themes, and after everything is done, we'll finalize with a Q&A. Mm-hmm. So, Marcelo, the floor is yours.
Thanks for the introduction. Thank you so much, kind words. I do need to refresh. I'm not sure if this is the first time I'm using this platform on Safari, and which is not helpful, but just give me one quick second. I'm just going to refresh and rejoin.
Yeah. All right. So we have 2 people from Panama. Hola, Nelly, ¿cómo estás? So you are just joining in. Just feel free to tell us where you're from.
All right, I'm back. Yeah.
You're back?
Yes,
okay, so feel free to share your screen.
Sure, let's start with that. And pretty much I'm just going to give a quick overview on what I'm going to be presenting today. And also, well, obviously, I'm creating this boilerplate with a couple of folks here in South Florida. And really the idea is to include all the best practices in working with Figma. One of the the weaknesses of Figma and pretty much all these product design tools, interface design tools, is that they don't give you a lot of infrastructure or some guardrails to work as a team. And so you have a lot of people trying to collaborate the same files. And Figma was really the first one who jumped ahead and tried to really do a real-time collaboration. But to the point that you can collaborate in the same file, assuming that you will do all the work in a single file. But as everything else, the files begin to get larger and larger, and you start seeing some performance issues. So the way we typically solve that on the development side of things, we abstract files, we abstract intentions, and that's pretty much what we're trying to do here. Like if you are familiar with the sketch and abstract workflow, that's exactly why abstract exists. It brings version control to a sketch workflow, and by abstracting files and design decisions. And really, I'm not watching the chat, so if someone could monitor there and just raise if you have any questions at any moment, please write that down or raise your hand, and I'll be able to answer. So let's start talking about how to create, how to start a project from scratch, working with a team, within a team, right? So the first thing that you need to do, and maybe Beto can talk about this, but if you are on a free account for Figma, you will not have the ability to share library between projects or with other files. Right. Am I correct on that, Beto? Because it has been a long time since I used the free.
Yeah, so far, libraries is a function for paid accounts. It does let you on the free account share styles, like like typography and colors. You can publish those, but like if you go to component levels, like symbols, like if you are coming from a sketch, you cannot do that. So you need to pay for an account in order to publish a whole library of components.
Okay, so you pretty much you need to have the upgraded version in order to share components. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Otherwise, all the components has to be in a single file. All right. So so the first assumption for tonight is that we are building an enterprise level um, 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 system using Figma. And there's a lot of companies trying to shift from Sketch to Figma, and they are encountering some challenges because typically teams have been building everything in a single file, but when you work on a web, it's not ideal. It will get slow. Figma does a very good job with keeping the application performant enough, but projects are projects and keeps growing, and teams and people, they tend to have bad habits that we carry over from past lives, and we never go back to clean up and to minimize the debt that we left behind. All right, so pretty much what you can see here, I have a number of workspaces, and so I have I have the UXF for UX and Fajita, that's a namespace. What I'm proposing here is that we have a project just to talk about this team. This is how you organize. This is the design ops side of things, where you can talk about this design system. You can document how you want your files named. You can architect how your design system is nested. So if you're using a particular component inside another component, you can spend time and really craft things and document properly. I think really that's one of the things that we need to do as designers. Building design system is really to level up on side of things of documentation, right? How do we document? And the second thing the fourth thing that I have over here on the about um, project in this case, I have a template file where I have some styles there and some components that I keep repeating or reusing. So one of the things that you see over here, that the cover thumbnail, they all have the same look and feel, they all have the same font sizing, the same structure. That's coming off one of these files, which I'm going to show later on. So let's start. I'm just going to give you another overview here. Then once you have the about project, you have the design system, and then you can have projects using this particular design system, right? I like working on a list view instead of on a grid view, on a tile view, because it helps me see more files. So this will continue to grow. Right now, the only thing that I have in this design system is the utilities, the tokens, light and dark, which I'm going to be using to create my themes. And then I have a very small component file. So hopefully part 3 or part 4, 5, 6, this will continue to go on as we continue to build this design system. Once we have the infrastructure, the naming conventions, all the boundaries, the governance of this enterprise level project, then we can start accelerating building components. That's going to be easy because we have plenty of components, and we're going to be using the material design component. And that's one of the things that you're going to see tonight. I'm taking the material design kit, this one, which is free on Figma, and I am just give you a quick demo right now.
Hello, is there a way for you to just share the screen of Figma instead of the whole desktop?
Sure, you can.
Because there's a comment that if there's a way to maximize your screen share to see the details.
Oh, there's a shortcut in Figma for that. You can do Option Command and plus, and you can increase the size of your UI.
Oh, a free tip.
Yeah, so there you go, interface scale. So this is how you can make this larger, right? Okay. So let me know if this is big enough or too small. But the idea here...
Is that good for you? Okay. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. So basically, what I have over here, this is a the material design kit, which you can find over here in the community, and you just search for material kit. And you see the two versions here. You see this is the official material designs team template file, and you have the doc theme as well. So what I did, I took that and I renamed the styles just to make consistent, because I want to have both in a single file just by swapping a theme. And let's show you an example of what I'm talking about. So basically, by using the plugin Themer, this is a plugin by Tom Laurie, I can have a dark theme and apply to the entire page. And let's cross your fingers. Let's hope this will work, because I've restarted. It was working earlier. There you go. So you can see how it kept the same styles, right? But what this is doing is taking all the tokens here and really replacing the values, not renaming the style name, but simply replacing the values. So I'm going to change back to light. All right. So this is how you swap themes using this particular plugin. Now let's talk about the use cases for this type of approach. If you are an agency, you tend to use your own component library, your own design system, and you just change the theme, change the brand, change all the variables. And that's why material design or material UI, for that matter, it's so popular, because it's very flexible, and with a single theme provider, JSON file or JavaScript file, you can completely change the look and feel of the application. So that's the first use case. The second use case, so the first use case is that you work in an agency, you have a single design system, a single component library, and for each client, you just change the theme, right? The theme provider for the particular app, right? You can change everything. It won't look the same, but you are maximizing your design and development time. The second use case, if you work for a large corporation, most likely you have a design system implemented. And depending on the maturity level of your company, of your organization, that design system will continue to evolve. And you will get to a point where you have white labeling requirements, or you have accessibility requirements that needs to be implemented to address high contrast look and feel. Once again, you can use themes to apply those changes. Or even this happens to the company that I worked for last year. We were Ultima Software, and then we merged with Kronos from Massachusetts, and we became UKG. And that's what Bethel was saying. Like, if you're in Miami, the Miami Heat is sponsored by UKG. And so we had to rebrand all the products that we had in a very short amount of time. And the good thing is that we had a design system in place. We just changed the tokens, and we were able to do that in a very short amount of time, less than we had everyone had expected. Okay, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna drink some water. I'm gonna ask for some questions now.
If anyone,
So I guess
any questions?
I just wanted to add real quick, and another beauty about this is that all these components in here is like there's also a React library side to it. So all like the headers, the drop downs, all of it already looks exactly like this. So you're saving so much time to not reinvent the wheel, and then have not only you designing stuff, but then have your developers match that design. You're just using components that already exist, and then on the front end, they actually have these components that they just import them in, just like ES6 style, and it's looking the same way. And then we're also, in this case, and what Marcelo's building is a single file is shared.
Hey guys, all of you are muted.
Yeah, Chris, you got muted. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I got muted too.
I don't know. I don't know where I stopped, but this whole system saves a lot of time between design and development.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Chris. So this is the token, the design token file. If you haven't heard about the design token, this is a single file that carries all the design decisions. So you can see the spacing for extra small. Let me just make this bigger. So you can see the spacing for extra small, small, medium, large. So everything is, it's multiple of 8. Use a 8dp unit for material UI. And you have the sizing that you can use for font size, border radius, border width, right? You have here the palettes for grays, for reds, for orange, and all the palettes that, all the colors that you can possibly use. And then you can just reference this particular file, like colors dot brand. I'm not sure if this is this, but you can see here, that's the brand. It's using the blue, right? And all the styles that's coming from their material design kit, I transfer them over here. All right. So let's review how I did that. Any questions?
The people are really shy, Marcelo, today.
That's okay. That gives me time. And you know, this it will get to a point that it can become way more complex. The a designer is you know, is interested to know. So that's when I ask you to say, okay, so this is great. Let's do something else. Just ask questions, and really, I'm really here to, and we're here every month, the first Thursday of the month. So just to share our time and share our knowledge, share all the solutions that and challenges that we face on a corporate environment. So let me show you how I was able to do that. So I have, this is the material design kit, and I have the material theme page here, and you can see they're all sharing the same style. And if you go and if you use Figma Tokens plugin, that's the plugin that I use to manage all the tokens. This great plugin done by a guy named Gen6. So you can see all those palettes that I was showing you on the code, right? And the buttons here, I mean the button colors. And then we have all the color background. So for instance, if I change this, so you can click on a JSON file. This is pretty much the same JSON that I was showing on Visual Code. I'm just gonna copy and paste.
Marcelo, they're asking if David, sorry if I mispronounced it, if the Teamer plugin generates the JSON files, or what
No.
the JSON file?
No, what generates the JSON file is if you're starting from scratch, you most likely your JSON file will come from your development team. If they don't have design tokens, then you have the opportunity to start creating this JSON file. The good thing about the Figma tokens is that when you create, let me just create a new file, right? So let's start from scratch. Let's just do a new project. And this project will be UXF, and I'm going to do, you know, Friends of Figma Night. Okay. So I'm just going to put in my sandbox over here. So I have a new project, and I'm going to create a new file. So this file has no name, and I am going to call Figma Tokens. So this is the onboarding for the Figma Tokens. tokens. So right now I have nothing in this file, and I'm just going to configure my tokens. So you can see how this plugin will give you everything that you need to start from scratch. So what I can do now, I can create the style. So there's a create style button here. And once I hit this button, it will take this JSON file and will create all the styles that I need. I'm going to create that, and all of a sudden, all the styles are here. So let's put this to test. I'm going to add a heading 1 and a heading 2. Right. And I'm going to put a couple of colors here. So I want to do one palette for my primary and one for the secondary. So let's rename this. And then secondary. Good thing about this is that now I can apply the style, and this will be heading 1, bold. And this will be heading 2. Oh, there you go. So I think there's the default that they have is asking for a font size that I don't have. So we have heading 1 and heading 2 here. And same thing for the colors. I'm just going to pick the brand and the accent. Okay. Like from this, I can start, I can create an interface with. So now, if I go to the JSON file, and I know that I can add it over here. What I usually do, I copy this and I paste into Visual Code and I add it there, because I have other tools that shows me the color, the color transformation, all that. Any questions?
Yeah, from Jason, and I think you're kind of covering it. So he asked, is Figma and JSON code sync it, and if so, does it work both ways? So meaning that the designer can make the change and push to code?
Yes.
So the developer can change in code and then push to Figma.
That's correct.
So I guess if you share the JSON code and the developer changes the code, you can paste it here and it will refresh.
That's
right?
correct. Yes. I'm being in contact with the plugin developer for Figma Tokens, and it's on a roadmap to, instead of just entering or pasting the JSON code for the design tokens, you'll be able to connect direct to your API. So if you have that JSON file being hosted somewhere, and that should be coming soon. So basically what I'm doing over here, I'm going to change this brand color to pink, which I'm taking from this pink collection here, and it's going to be the pink 600. All right. And my accent will be the yellow, assuming that I have yellow. Let's make sure I have yellow. Yeah, I have yellow, and it's going to be 500. Okay. So if I hit update here, you should see these two colors change. All right. And not only change everything, but also change the styles. So you can see my accent, my brand. Now, here's the power of this. So if you had to update these styles, you would have to go over here and on each class and update that manually. All right. So you're updating right here. All your design decisions are contained in this source. So that's why we call this the single source of truth that both design and development use. And so if you change your components in Figma on the design side using this JSON file, it will also change the web component development side if they have a matching JSON file. Okay.
And Marcelo,
Now,
you can do the changes of the color on the token tab as well, or it has to be on the JSON tab?
you can do on a token tab. I like doing on a code because it's much faster. And on the token tab, you have to click. So for instance, what I'm trying to do right now is to change the font family for heading, which is enter. I'm going to change this to Jonathan's favorite font type, Lobster 2. So you can see like there's one click and there's another click, and I'm just going to do Lobster 2. All right, there you go. It changed that. Not only changed your interface, but it has also changed all the headings, every single class or style that use that particular font. The reason why I wanted to show here on a JSON file is that this is the reference on the font families. This is where I changed to Lobster 2. I'm going to change this to Roboto Mono, right? And so this font family's heading is being used in every single style. So heading 1 bold, regular, bold, heading 2 bold, regular, and body. Body has a different family, as you can see here. It's called Roboto, but I can also, if I know how to spell Merriweather, I think I'm wrong. I think I'm still wrong. Oh, let's pick another font. That's
Lato.
Lato. Thanks. So if I update this, and you see that this is now Lato, right? This is really powerful. You know how much time are you going to be saving just maintaining your styles with a single file? And we're talking about hundreds of styles, right? If I show you the last time I counted, like if I show you the Salesforce design token font, it has over 300, I think 360 tokens and growing, right? And that's why this is so important when you have working in an enterprise level team or company, right? So this is an example how to use Figma tokens. I do want to go back a little bit and talk about the naming convention and how to organize the files. Are there any questions about the design tokens and the Figma tokens plugin? Just so we can wrap up this side of the conversation.
So far, you have a question?
I got a quick question. So, I mean, this is amazing, and I know it's going to save a lot of time. But in the scenario that some of these typefaces are a bit wider than others or more narrow, specifically the ones that are more wider, how do you account for that when it may not fit, let's say, a UI card or something in the space that you've given the typeface?
Yeah, so there are other techniques that you have to take into account, right? Obviously, if you go and you have, I'm just bringing Figma tokens again. There are two ways, right? One is the way you architect your UI, right? When you design a card, you definitely need to design in a way that's going to take on the worst case scenario, like a long Indian name or last name, right? Or if the tagline goes up to 4 lines. So you definitely need to have some boundaries, and you need to have some instructions how to handle that. But on the JSON here, so you can see how my heading one. So you see the lattice spacing here. So you can definitely, let me see which one I'm using. So I can actually inspect. Oh, so I'm using the regular one. All right. So if I go back and I do the spacing, is using there's a there's a collection for lattice spacing. Lattice spacing default increase 150, decrease minus 5. If I say this is gonna be minus 20, and I'm assuming that my H1 regular is using the decreased reference here, lattice spacing decrease, it's going to the lattice spacing collection and say use the decrease. So I changed this from -5 to -20. What do you expect to see here? It's going to squish, right?
And tracking, yeah. Wow.
All right.
Awesome.
There you go. All right. Really, that's the power of tokens. Token go to each attribute of your design. So this is like a subatomic decision. Like if you are familiar with the atomic design approach, this is really going into the subatomic level.
Wow.
There's a question, Marcelo. Salina, hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. So if I change the main color, will it change the color scale as well?
I'm so glad you asked that because this is something that I'm actually I'm contributing to the Figma plugin, the Figma token plugin, and one of the pull requests that we did today was the support for HSL, right? So if you go, and I'll show you. The HSL, so it's like you have the hue, saturation, and lightness. So if you change the hue, it will change all the shades for that particular color. Let me see if I have that plugin. No, I don't have it over here on this machine, but so not yet, but that's why you have to do manually in a hex code. But this is something that they already have the code. They're gonna be, we just did the PR today, and they should be releasing on the next version or so. So you will be able to set the hue for your color palette for your primary brand, and will automatically assume all the hue and will decrease the lightness based on that. Hope I answered your question. That's the technical way to answer. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, the question was answered. They're very excited.
Cool. So let's go back to the project file, and I want to talk about a couple of things. Right. So first, how to organize files in Figma. So as you can see, Figma does not support folders, right? And you really need to find ways to organize your files. So you can probably, I have so many projects here, and I really try to keep as clean as possible. But this is kind of this has about 2 years, so you can see how we used to organize projects before, not very clean, and this is another one that we're working on. And here you can start seeing some better organizations. right? So what we are proposing here is that we organize the folders, and basically the way you create this divider is as simple as going to your organization, click on your organization, you create a new project, and you just I do like 5 dashes, and I say those projects. All right. So I create a project, which is an empty project. And I can just drag this, and I'm just going to put the Figma, Friends of Figma project inside those. So that's one quick and dirty, really, way to organize these projects, right? The other thing is, once you work in an organization, so all of your team members, they will see this. So it's your duty, and it's your on your own interest to keep these things organized. So I hope let's talk about I like adding a README file and really talk about the project. What I want to do here, and I haven't done, is I just did this today. So I want to be able to do release notes. So every design system has a release note, and you can do semantic version here, right? And then you go about describing that. So there are different ways that you can do that. There are also plugins that you can sync up with Markdown or some other source that you can just bring it over here. You don't need to keep typing this everywhere, right? So that's the README file. It really doesn't have anything. It's just like to inform people to go over here and keep track of things. The next file that I have, let me close this guy here. The next file that I have is a naming convention. And this is one one topic that I'm asked for every month. Almost every week, people ask me how to name things. And this is mostly in part because of a presentation that we gave in the community of a couple of years ago, where we go over and we just show all the different names, how to name things, how to architect your components, the global namespace. I'm going to share this link, and that link actually it's in a Figma file, as I will show you. So the naming convention file that we are proposing is we do an ID, and this ID is mostly to allow you to list over here. So as you can see, everything's listed by alphabetical order. This approach has helped me a lot with projects with large files, because I have complete control of how I want the teams to follow along and how to keep these design system organized. The second one is status. So there are a number of ways to do that. I tend to have a simple nomenclature, or like a queue here. And really the idea is to, you can use emojis to differentiate if the file is just a file that doesn't contain any library or any styles being published. And then the book I use for all the library files. And if the book is green, I use published. If the book is amber, it's under review. So sometimes you have designers who check each other's work to check if everything is okay. And if they're under review, they approve, and then it can be published, right? And sometimes someone published a bug or posted a bug on a particular component, and we received that ticket, but we don't have the time to that. So we just like change the emoji to red, knowing that this is a published library, but has some bugs that needs to be reviewed. And if someone goes into a particular file and start working, they can change the emoji to under construction, or it's it's under work, right? And the way I usually have this, so I bring in the character viewer, and I have all these saved as my favorite, right? And the easy way to do that is just like you type in like book, and you select this and you add to favorite. So this provides a very quick visual cue to see if this file is being published. If it's green, it's published, so I don't have to worry. Obviously, the name of the file is important. This is where the naming convention, so you see a link here to that deck that I was just showing over here. And as a matter of fact, let me share this link. This will be so anyone with the link can view. You copy this, and you have access to this particular file right away. But really, the idea is to download these files as a Figma file, and then you can upload on your own projects. But I'll give you access to this file just to review. I'm assuming I can just type it over here. Right? All right. All right, so here's the link for the, so there you go, I see a bunch of people join. Hope I won't see the mosquito effect of people just flying over. So then we talk about semantic, right? So when you create this is really important because this is a problem that the developers, they have solved long time ago, right? And all the description for what semantic version is and how it's used, it's over here. And this is pretty much how I keep track of the published library. Once you go in and you publish, let's just say I want to publish something here, and you added the comment, and what I usually do, I put the 0.10 and I change the name of this version. So in this case over here, it will be 0.2. I increase the version of this file, and then I publish all the components. The good thing about this is that whoever is using these libraries, these components in separate projects, they will receive a notification saying that the library has been updated, and you have a very nice description. The search tags is the last piece, which is optional, and I make very good use of this tag, this approach. And if you go to the search, so once you have like lots of files and you don't know where the file is, or someone has asked you to look at the file and you cannot find, all you have to do really is to go and search. And I have a couple of tags. You can see that I have FOF, UXF, about, right? So I can just go over here and do FOF, and I see all the files, the results from my teams. So I see all the files that contains the FOF tag. It's a very, very simple and a good way to keep your files neat and easy to find, right? Naming convention, this is all good stuff that everyone should be using. All right, and that's about naming convention. Hi, everyone. Let's move on the screen here. Let's do a party here. Mhm. All right, so that's for the naming convention. Now let's talk about the architecture, which is another good approach here. I have a diagram that I explain how this boilerplate is being used and how it's being created. And this is really me thinking how this boilerplate will scale over time. Right now, we have the utilities category. Under utilities, I will have the palette. I will have annotation. Right, this is the all the colors that everyone can use. Like you have it on not on this one, but over here, you can see all the palettes are here. Right. You don't necessarily use all these colors in a particular project, but you reference that if you decide to change on a single theme file. So you don't want to keep creating this. Right. So that's why we have the palette here. I actually, let me see if I can find the example. I think I have this one. So you can see here, this is the palette file that I'm going to be adding to the boilerplate. As you can see, you have all the shades, and the same way here, I'm using the design, the Figma token plugin to dictate all that palette. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to update. I'm going to remove all the colors. Right, so I remove all the colors out. And I'm going to take another JSON file that I have over here with all the colors, the color values back. And all I have to do is update. And you can control all the styles here. All right. So again, this is all the palettes are being really managed. The palette color styles, they are all being managed over here. All right, so that's the palettes. And then the annotations, really the annotations, these are supporting design tokens. And I know that we are time, but this is all the supporting styles for you to annotate your design file that doesn't really belong anywhere in a design system. This is just supporting annotations styles that you can do. So you can have, over here I have all the comments, you have the plugins, stuff that this is no style. This is just a component that doesn't conflict with the styles of the theme. Right. And over here we have the core, which is under the core category. We have themes, which I already showed you, the light, the dark. I use the Figma tokens, which saves the JSON file. Well, the themer saves the JSON file on the cloud. So that's why you can actually share that theme with your teams, and they can also swap using the same source from the cloud. Right. And really, like the last one that I want to show is the style guide generator.
Marcelo, there's a question.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Jason asked, how do you handle versioning for your design system?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it is all on a naming convention file. So if you go in a naming convention file, use all the same version. I use the same approach, right? Exactly the same version. So each time I publish a component, I use this technique to keep track of the component version, and you can do, if it is a major change, you can just like Google for semantic versioning, and you will understand. But this is really the approach. You have a patch. This is usually a bug that showed up, something that people ask, oh, you know what, the text is not left aligned, or this one should be right aligned. That's a small fix that you can fix with just a patch. You don't need to increase the version of that component. The minor version is something that you are testing, you adding an attribute. And if you really revamp the component, and this is when you go to a major version, right, which is the 1. So it goes to 2.0, a completely new button, right, with more properties. So if you're working on a design team, your component library should have the same version as your design library. So this is most likely will come from your developer designing or developing the components, and each component has its own package and has its own semantic version.
And if it, I mean, when you export the library, right?
Correct, that's correct. So let me just go back. I'll just create a simple component here. So I have a component. I know that we are on time. I don't want to exceed the time.
No, that's
too
not
much.
so.
So I'm just going to publish a quick button, and this button will use, I don't have any libraries published here, but I'm just going to create a simple button here. All right. And
By the way, people are saying just to keep going.
what's that?
People are saying just to keep going. Go ahead.
Oh, keep going. Okay. So label, right? And and I'll create label and center, and really, this is the simplest component that you can have. Make this white. Okay. So as a good designer, you should always rename your layers as you create. So this will be button BG, and this will be my label. And I'll group this, and I'll create a component called label. Button. Okay. So I'm going to publish this. So this is, and usually what I would do, and who asked that question? Was it Simon?
It was Jason.
Okay, Jason. All right, so let's take this component. This is what I was talking about earlier on having a single file with all components. I personally, and this is my own opinion, having seen many design systems growing and maturing, it becomes very hard to maintain, right? So what I want to propose for this boilerplate is that we will create here's comes my handy template. I just duplicate this, and I just rename, and this will be my 005, my ID down, and this will be buttons, right? And this will be my 01, and this will be, you don't need to do, but that's just like, FOF, because I want to be able to find, and maybe I'm creating a button for a specific client, like Coca-Cola is my client, and I'll just mix. This is a specific button for Coca-Cola. All right. So I'll go into that file. Obviously, I need to change this, and I just see the component. There's a component that was updated here. That was most likely this component that I changed, and I'm just going to review this. So when you published something in Figma, see the cover, and let's move it over here. I changed this cover earlier, and it's coming from my utilities of file, and I just simply update. So pretty much just change this thing here. All right, so I have my component here. This is another thing that every my boilerplate files, they have local components and you have titles. If you have worked in Figma files, you start having components everywhere, right? So this is one approach for you to, when you create a component, just bring it over here, right? Bring to this region, and then you spend time organizing them. So I created that button. I'm just going to paste it over here. Oops, no, that one. All right, so my button is over here. I have nothing on this file. I don't have styles. I don't have anything, right? The only thing that really have on this is this button. And I'm going to publish this because that's my Coca-Cola button. I should definitely make this red. All right. That's the Coke red. All right. So once I'm ready to publish this component, I want everyone to use this Coca-Cola button. Enjoy. So I will publish this by simply going over here and publish styles and components. So, and the first thing that I will do, and Coke button released, right? And I publish this. So now it's published, and everyone that used this library, so now I can create go in project 2, I create a new file. And the first thing that you want to do is really go into your library, and I want to find the Coca-Cola button. All right. So now I know that I'm going to be using this component in this project. And I really don't need to download that uber huge library, component library, a single file containing hundreds of components that I'm not going to use. I'm creating a very lean project file with only the components that I need to use. And here it is, my button, right? So, and let's just say, someone or the client didn't like the red. Let's make sure that we change to another color. It's a green Coke, right? So you see how, since this is a published component, it's asking me to publish a new version. So I click on publish, and guess what I'm going to do? First, I'm going to rename this to 1.1. And now I can publish my file, my component. So team, this is my new version, and it's the green Coke. Well, all right. So I published that. And guess what's going to happen with everyone that's using that project file? They're going to get an alert say, hey guys, the update for that button has been released, and you click, and then you have a green file. I think this is really what I had to show. Really, the only last thing that I would like to show is the style guide generated. I probably can use this. I'll use this one just to, I'll bring the Figma tokens here.
There's a question regarding David asked, if, would you add all the variants to that button, or are you pulling everything from the tokens?
That's a very good question. So as far as the variants go, so you see here, and let's just say I create a new component here. And really, what you can do is you really don't need to create a separate component. You can, I believe you can just create a nested, yes, you can. I don't believe, I know for sure. So you click and I'm change this. This is gonna be button round, all right? And this is gonna be button, just regular button. And this button round, what I want to do is I really want to make this like that. So now to create a variant, I just go select this two and combine it as variant. And the first thing that I do with variants, I change the property, all right? So I want this to be shape. I also want to create the variant name is code button, right? And I'm just gonna create a red version of this. And so basically what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to my code. I'm gonna create a new property, which is color. And this color here will be green. And I will create a new variant here. And this variant will be round and it will be red. So now I can rename this red. So let's review what I just did over here with variants. And if you're not familiar with variants, the next time I have a whole new approach for using variants in terms of like using photos, unsplash photos. We're gonna do that to select the photos. I want photos of female or male with the curly hair, smiling, with phone, without phone. You can choose all, create all these variants properties to do that. So let's, I'm gonna publish this now, and let's use those variants on, I'm not gonna do the version now, so variants, publish. Now I go to my project. Guess what's gonna happen? I got a new file here and I update. Now if I go and select my button here, so you can see that my button is using the Coke button, and I really want this to be round. Oh, I may change, oh, I don't want round, I want red. Right? Since red doesn't have the round button, it shows the defaults, which is really the button. I can change to red. Is that your question? Was that your question, David? I'm going to show one last plugin, which is the style generator, the style guide generator. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to paste all my styles. And I'm just gonna create these. All my styles are here. Okay. So what I want to do now is, let me just go over here. I want to change a couple of things here that I know it was not working earlier.
Marcelo, how do the variants within Figma translate to the JSON file? How can you edit those variants within Figma from the JSON file? I think that's where Dave was kind of getting at as well.
If you're using a style, and I can do, now that I have a style, I can do that, right? So if you're using style, let's just say now I can take, well, then I would have to create that's a tricky question because I'm missing a step here, which is I have not published the theme. So if you go into design and I have my light and dark theme here. So I can take this JSON, I put it a JSON here just as a template, right? And I copy this, and what I'm gonna do is, just so you can try to visualize, I'm gonna publish these styles, and then I'm gonna go to my button component and import the styles, and I'm gonna use the colors from this file, and that should update my project file, right? So I'm abstracting the colors from the button to have this JSON file as the main source. Okay, is that confusing, or did you understand what I just said?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay, so I'm gonna paste this style here. Okay, and now I'm going to create all my files. You can see that I have the $sign over here, right? And the branding color that I have is the blue, right? And we're gonna change this to something else. So, but before I do that, I have to do a couple things. I need to publish this, publish all the styles and components of this file, but since this file only has the styles, I don't need to publish any components. It will include 159 styles to be used in every single component. That's the power of theming. So you abstract the theme, the token file in Figma, and all your colors, fonts, and all the design decisions are coming from this file and replicating in every single component that you will create from now on. So I'm going to publish this. All right. So what's the next thing I need to do? I need to go into my component file, and I need to link this tokens library. So I'm publishing all the styles on Figma. Figma is a web app, so it takes some time. So now I'm going to replace these colors to use my, so when you do that, you go to Assets, click on the book, and I need to find my what's the name of the file there? Tokens light. That's this one, right? So 159 styles. So now I can close this. And what you see is when I select my color here, and I will pick my brand color coming from that style. And I already updated all my greens. All right. So since I changed this button, it's telling me that since this component is being used on my project here, I'm just going to close this. I'm not going to need that. So it's asking me to publish. So I will publish that. And now this button will use the blue coming from did I click on
You
cancel?
didn't use the red variant.
All right, so just oh, that's right. So I didn't update the variant.
Yeah, you didn't change the red variant. There you go.
Thanks. Right. So now all my app, that my entire app is sourcing the brand color coming from the tokens. So let's change that guy over here. So really, I highly encourage, once you start using Figma tokens, do not change your styles here. Just manage your styles from the plugin. And I think the brand, it's much faster to go over here. Here's my brand. I want to change this to what I want to do, purple. I'm going to update this. So you should see this brand color turn into purple. It's purple now. It's telling me that I have to publish my tokens. I publish the tokens, which will update my button, which asked me to publish my new button version. And all the product teams, I'm on a design team. I just manage the tokens and components. All the product teams will have a new button coming from the design token. That's how it goes. That's how things got trickled down into the large organization. There's way too many teams doing everything that I did in the last 2 minutes. Okay. One last, any questions? I heard a noise.
So far, everything's clear, Marcelo. So it was really helpful for everyone to understand that. Because sometimes, we designers, we do everything in one file. So basically your approach is separating kind of like everything, like I start with the colors first, your fonts, and have that in one file.
Yeah.
Then start building buttons and other, thinking in atomic level. So because sometimes you have everything in one file and it's just too heavy to open and do just one change, and it just takes forever. So
the word is abstract, right? So if you start using the same language as your developer, they're gonna love you. So this is one thing that I'm gonna do last, and then we can wrap up or open for Q&A. This is a template for a plugin that I use to, so like once you have created the tokens, right? Basically, as a matter of fact, what I should do is, now that I have my tokens posted, so I can just go and create my style guide for these tokens. And I have a template frame here, which basically will go through each token. If it is color token, it will list all the colors here. If it is text, it will list all the text here. And what it does, it looks for this frame called template, and it creates a new template right next to it and lists everything that you've created. So let me show you this plugin. It's called Style Guide Generator. And really, once you have that template, that it will run automatically. maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I didn't select the thing. There we go. So create a style guide, create a new page called style. Okay, so this one should be called style guide. All right, so I select the template and then I run. There we go. So you can see how handy this is. How many times
Wow.
did you have to do that? I can just like easily say that I have personally spent over 100 hours creating stuff like this.
Yeah, because it's tedious.
Well, yeah, and it goes beyond that. It just really does the hex and the RGB,
Yeah.
right? And look at the typography.
Wow.
It brings the font family, regular, the style, the size, the lattice spacing, the height.
That's crazy.
Really, it doesn't have to be pretty. It has to be efficient. And that's what it takes when you work in an enterprise level setting. You really need to be efficient. You need to learn how to maximize your time, because otherwise it's already hard to sell UX. It's already hard to tell our product stakeholders that we need to do research, that we need to do user testing. And so like finding time to be efficient allows you to gain back some time to craft your work, to test your designs.
Yeah, manually doing this is easily full day to 2 days worth of work, and I mean like from early morning to late night. That's a lot of material to put together.
All right, so I'm glad you mentioned that, because I have been personally spending a number of hours building this boilerplate with the hope that will save a lot of people a lot of time. And so I'm documenting this in a way that everyone will be able to download and just hit the ground running.
That's awesome.
So with that, let's have a beer.
I know Michael
I'm ready.
had a question.
Mhm.
He asks, is there any worry about constantly having to update several files in order for all of your primary colors to be updated across the entire system? He said being updated. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but I think you meant to be updated across the entire system. Yeah.
I understand his question, and this is knowing you, Michael. I know that working for a startup, you have one or two designers, and it's very hard to maintain that. For that case, and remember, the title of this presentation today is enterprise level, right? If you are working by yourself, if you are a freelancer, I do not recommend this way, right? You find your way. If you gain the experience of abstracting design decisions the way I'm presenting tonight, it will put you in a very good position to find a job on a larger team, right? But working as a startup, you don't have time to organize things. And since you are working with just by yourself or with someone else, the communication channel flows well enough that you can accelerate without having to put all these guardrails around your design files. Really, this is a design ops presentation tonight. Good question, though.
Awesome. Anyone has any more questions? So this is your chance to shine.
But we'll give you $20 for each question.
I'll go broke.
Now, I'm curious to, I have a question. I'm curious to know if anyone would be interested in using this. Was this any helpful in terms, do you see this, you taking these boilerplate, all these files and collaborating to set up the groundwork to start the project in a proper way?
Yeah.
So I see Selena.
Yeah, I would say 100%. I mean, even now at Wrecking Ball, we're looking to kind of use Figma for everything now, since it's a better collaborative tool versus Sketch, because Sketch is what we primarily use now, but I've been convincing the entire team that Figma is the way to go.
Cool. Right. So we will continue to evolve this. I think, like I mentioned earlier, the best way to find us is through Fluxia. Very open. I'm trying to find a way to push all these files into a GitHub repository where you can clone and download and use all that. So that's one thing with Figma. You don't have a way to create a project template, like a boilerplate that you can just hand off to someone. So I will try to, next time we meet, we'll definitely have a solution for that, and we're probably going to have the first package to give out to everyone. And if you're interested and if you think that you can take what I already have and hit the ground running, just send me a text. I'll zip everything, or even invite you to this repository, and we can discuss about you contributing.
Yeah, I think it's really helpful for everyone. Like, at least when you're designing stuff, it's really important to have order in everything, because it will make not only your life, but if you're working in a huge team, it will make everyone's life easier. Because if you see my room, is all disordered, but when it comes to design, you really need to take care of your design files, and the way that Marcelo said, okay, first you need to set up the colors, the fonts, then another file to start building up the whole system or whatever you're working on. So it's just a little order, and it will make it really, when you need to start finding files, and the way that Marcelo has it, it was really good to have the tags, for example. So, since you have a lot of files and you just put a tag, and you could find it really quick. Just things like that, it makes the workflow really fast and efficient. So
yeah, remember that project battle? That just which file is this? Which file is
oh
this?
my god, it was a disaster.
The project together, yeah. So as a matter of fact, they were supposed to come tonight to watch the event. So I hope they were able to join in and see this. But I'll definitely pass this to them. So they actually, one of our clients, they were kind of the inspiration for Beth and I to start this initiative of creating a boilerplate like this.
Awesome. All right. Any questions before we close? I mean, people are really happy, Marcelo. So thank you for this.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, thanks everyone for the kind words. Yeah, and if we are not connected on LinkedIn, just hit me up and we can continue this conversation. So.
And feel free to join the Flux Slack. It's from the South Florida community, but everyone's just welcome to join in. If you're for example, we had people from Panama and Argentina, so you're just welcome to.
Folks in Washington.
Yeah, from the States as well. So just feel free to join us.
Cool. All right, so let's grab a beer, and then we have the happy hour now. Whoever wants to stay, so you can stop recording. Whoever wants to stay, we typically stay here and have a beer, and then just